On a snowy Christmas in New York, 8-year-old Ethan Miller is left orphaned after a tragic car accident claims his parents. Homeless, cold, and alone, he clutches his only friend, a worn teddy bear, as he wanders the city streets. Amid the harsh winter, a kind-hearted woman, Clara Reynolds, and a loving couple, David and Margaret Thompson, discover him. This story follows Ethan's journey from despair to hope, showing how compassion, love, and the magic of Christmas can heal even the deepest wounds. Snow fell softly over the quiet streets of New York City. The bright Christmas lights twinkled in shop windows, but 8-year-old Ethan Miller walked alone, his small frame shivering beneath a thin coat. The city buzzed with holiday cheer, families laughing and carolers singing, but Ethan felt invisible, a child without parents, without a home, and without hope. Clutching his worn teddy bear, Ethan remembered the warmth of his mother's hugs and his father's laughter. Those memories now felt distant, almost unreal. The accident that had taken them left him with emptiness so deep it seemed impossible to fill. He wandered aimlessly, longing for someone to notice him, to care for him, to offer him even a moment of warmth. Each step in the snow reminded him of his isolation. Around him, people prepared for Christmas, but he had nothing. Not a gift, not a meal, not a family to call his own. As night fell, Ethan huddled beneath a streetlight, the cold biting through his coat. He whispered softly to his teddy bear, I wish I wasn't alone tonight." Above him, the stars glittered coldly in the sky. But even in the darkness, a small spark of hope flickered. Little did Ethan know, this Christmas Eve would mark the beginning of a journey that would change his life forever. Ethan Miller shivered beneath the dim glow of a streetlight, the snow crunching softly under his worn shoes. The city seemed alive with warmth, families carrying packages, children laughing, carolers singing. But for him, each joyful sound felt like a distant world he could never reach. As he hugged his teddy bear tighter, Ethan noticed a woman approaching. Her name was Clara Reynolds, a kind-hearted volunteer delivering blankets and food to the homeless on Christmas Eve. She knelt down to his level, her soft voice gentle and caring. "Hello, Ethan," said Clara, smiling warmly. "Are you all right? It's freezing out here." Ethan's lips trembled. I don't have anywhere to go," he whispered. Clara's eyes softened. "Then let's fix that tonight. Here, take this blanket and some food. You deserve warmth, even if it's just for a little while." Ethan accepted the blanket, feeling its warmth seep into his chilled body. The small gesture sparked a glimmer of hope he hadn't felt in weeks. For the first time since the accident, someone had noticed him. Someone cared. "Would you like to come with me?" Clara asked gently. "You don't have to be alone tonight." Ethan hesitated. He had been abandoned before. Trust didn't come easily, but the warmth in Clara's eyes reminded him of his mother's gentle smile. Slowly, he nodded. Together, they walked through the snow-dusted streets, the lights reflecting off the pavement. Clara carried food and blankets for other children, but she kept a careful eye on Ethan, making sure he was safe. As they walked, Ethan felt a strange emotion, a tiny seed of hope growing inside him. For the first time in months, he realized that Christmas might not be a night of loneliness and sorrow. Maybe, just maybe, it could bring miracles. By the time they reached a small shelter, Ethan's heart felt lighter. Inside, he was offered a warm meal, a cot to sleep on, and even a small Christmas gift, a scarf and mittens. Clara smiled as he hugged them tightly, the tears in his eyes shining like tiny stars. For the first time, Ethan Miller felt he belonged somewhere, and that night, as he lay wrapped in warmth and safety, he whispered softly to his teddy bear, "Maybe this Christmas isn't so lonely after all." The next morning, sunlight filtered through the small shelter windows, painting the room in soft gold. Ethan Miller woke up, wrapped in the warm blankets Clara Reynolds had given him. For the first time in weeks, he felt safe. After breakfast, Clara led Ethan outside, past snow-covered sidewalks and sparkling Christmas lights. "Ethan," she said softly, "I want to introduce you to someone very special today." Curious, Ethan followed her down the street until they arrived at a cozy house with a wreath on the door and smoke curling from the chimney. Standing on the porch were David and Margaret Thompson, a kind couple who had lost their own child years ago. Their eyes were filled with warmth, and their smiles radiated genuine care. "Hello, Ethan," Margaret said gently. "Clara told us about you. We'd like to spend some time with you, if that's okay." Ethan's small voice trembled. "Really? You want me?" David knelt to his level. "Yes, Ethan, we'd like that very much. You've been through a lot, and we want to help you feel at home." Ethan's heart raced. A family? For him? The idea was almost too much to believe. He hugged his teddy bear tightly, feeling hope flicker inside his chest. Over the next few hours, Ethan played in the snow with the Thompsons, building a small snowman and laughing for the first time in what felt like forever. Margaret handed him a pair of warm gloves, and David wrapped a scarf around his neck. Every small gesture filled the emptiness he had carried for so long. As the evening approached, they invited him inside. The house smelled of cinnamon and pine, and the Christmas tree twinkled in the corner. Ethan felt a strange, warm feeling in his chest, something he hadn't felt since before the accident. Love. Safety. Belonging. Sitting by the fire, Ethan whispered to his teddy bear, "Maybe I finally have a family." Margaret smiled, her eyes glistening. "Ethan, you do, and we'll take care of you always." That night, Ethan went to sleep wrapped in warmth, both from blankets and from the love he felt surrounding him. For the first time since the accident, he believed in miracles. The night passed quietly, with the soft glow of the Christmas tree casting warm shadows across the Thompsons' living room. For the first time in weeks, Ethan Miller slept soundly, his teddy bear tucked under his arm. The cold and fear of the streets felt like a distant memory. Morning arrived with a golden light spilling through the windows. Ethan awoke to the smell of pancakes and cinnamon wafting from the kitchen. He rubbed his eyes and smiled. "Is this real?" he whispered to himself. Margaret entered the room, holding a plate of warm pancakes. "Good morning, Ethan. Merry Christmas!" Ethan's eyes widened. "Merry Christmas," he echoed, his voice trembling with excitement. David carried a small wrapped box over to him. "We have a little surprise for you," he said warmly. Ethan opened the gift carefully. Inside was a wooden train set, polished and gleaming, with tracks and tiny figures. He hugged it tightly, tears of joy filling his eyes. "It's perfect," he whispered. Margaret smiled. "Christmas is about love, giving, and joy, Ethan, and you deserve all of it." After breakfast, the family stepped outside. Snow blanketed the streets, glittering under the morning sun. Ethan pulled on his new gloves and boots, feeling excitement and happiness he hadn't felt in months. They built a snowman together, laughed while making snow angels, and sledded down the nearby hill. Ethan's laughter rang out, echoing through the neighborhood like music. Later, they visited a small Christmas fair. Lights twinkled, Children ran with hot chocolate in hand, and carolers sang familiar tunes. Ethan wandered through the stalls, marveling at the colorful decorations, the sweets, and the joyous atmosphere. For the first time, he felt like a child again, not a lonely lost boy, but someone who belonged. As evening fell, the Thompsons and Ethan returned home. Sitting by the fire, wrapped in blankets, Ethan whispered to his teddy bear, "I think this is what Christmas is really about." Margaret knelt beside him, brushing a strand of hair from his face. "Yes, Ethan, it's about love, family, and hope. And you're a part of all three now." That night, Ethan went to sleep with a heart full of gratitude. The magic of Christmas had finally reached him through kindness, warmth, and the love of a family that had opened its arms to him when he needed it most. The morning after their first Christmas together, Ethan woke up to the soft golden light spilling into the Thompsons' cozy living room. The snow outside sparkled as if celebrating the day, and inside, warmth and laughter filled the house. For the first time since the accident, Ethan Miller felt truly at home. Margaret and David were preparing breakfast, and the aroma of pancakes and fresh fruit made Ethan's stomach rumble. "Morning, Ethan," Margaret called cheerfully. "Ready for a special day?" Ethan nodded eagerly. "Yes! What are we going to do today?" David smiled. "You'll see, but first..." He handed Ethan a small envelope. Ethan's hands shook as he opened it. Inside was a handwritten letter and a small key. The letter read, "Dear Ethan, sometimes life takes away what we love, but it also brings miracles when we least expect them. This key is for a place where you will always be safe, loved, and happy. Love, Clara." Ethan's eyes widened. "A miracle?" he whispered, clutching the key. Margaret knelt beside him. "Yes, Ethan, a miracle is what brought you to us, and it's what brought you here today. Come on, we have a surprise waiting." They walked together through the freshly fallen snow, the key heavy in Ethan's pocket. At the end of the street stood a small house, its windows glowing with light and warmth. A family had left a little note and a gift basket at the door for anyone in need. Inside were blankets, food, and toys, gifts for Ethan. Ethan felt tears prick his eyes. "All this for me?" David smiled. "Yes, Ethan, because you deserve it. Because Christmas is about giving, and miracles happen to those who need them most." Margaret hugged him tightly. "And remember, Ethan, you're never alone. You have us. You have a family." Ethan held his teddy bear close, the warmth of love and care filling the emptiness that had haunted him for months. He realized that miracles weren't just magic. They were people who cared, moments of kindness and love that healed the deepest wounds. That evening, Ethan played with his new toys, laughed with the Thompsons, and whispered to his teddy bear, "Mom, Dad, thank you. I think I finally have a Christmas miracle." As he drifted off to sleep that night, wrapped in blankets and the love of his new family, Ethan knew one thing for certain. Even after loss and loneliness, hope and love could find their way into the coldest hearts. The morning after Christmas felt like a fresh start. The sun rose over New York City, its golden rays sparkling on the snow-covered streets, reflecting off store windows decorated with twinkling lights. Inside the Thompson home, warmth, Laughter and the aroma of cinnamon and pancakes filled the air. Ethan Miller woke with a feeling he hadn't known in months: safety. For the first time since losing his parents, he didn't feel alone, cold, or unwanted. The soft blankets around him, the glow of the Christmas tree, and the gentle sounds of Margaret humming in the kitchen all made him realize he had found a place he could truly call home. Ethan slid into the kitchen, his boots crunching softly on the wooden floor. Margaret greeted him with a bright smile, placing a plate of pancakes in front of him. "Good morning, Ethan. Sleep well?" she asked. "Yes, and I feel happy," Ethan said, his small voice filled with awe. "I never thought I could feel like this again." David leaned over, ruffling Ethan's hair. "Happiness is meant to be shared, Ethan, and now it's yours to keep." As Ethan ate, he noticed little details he hadn't before: the warm mugs filled with cocoa, the carefully wrapped gifts stacked neatly by the tree, and the cozy blankets draped over the couch. Each small detail whispered the same message: you belong here, you are safe, you are loved. After breakfast, David bundled Ethan in a thick coat, gloves, and a scarf. Margaret held his hand as they stepped outside into the crisp winter air. The city sparkled with festive lights and the laughter of children playing in the snow. Ethan's eyes widened. "It's beautiful!" he exclaimed, marveling at the colorful lights and snow-covered streets. They strolled through the neighborhood, stopping at a small park where children built snowmen and made snow angels. Ethan joined in, his laughter mingling with the sounds of other children. He felt free, joyful, and alive, emotions he hadn't experienced since before the accident. As he rolled a snowball across the field, he realized something important. Life could be joyful again. Love, warmth, and family weren't lost. They were just waiting to be found. Later that afternoon, Margaret and David brought Ethan to visit Clara Reynolds, the woman who had first shown him kindness on the streets. Her small apartment was warm, with a single Christmas tree in the corner and simple decorations strung along the walls. Ethan ran into her arms. "Clara, look, I have a family now." Clara smiled, tears in her eyes. "I knew this day would come, Ethan. I'm so proud of you." Ethan hugged her tightly. "Thank you for finding me." Clara patted him back gently. "You found your way yourself, Ethan. You just needed a little help." As they shared cookies and cocoa, Ethan realized the power of human kindness. One act of compassion had changed the course of his life, showing him that hope and love could appear in even the darkest times. Back at the Thompson home, evening settled softly over the city. Ethan curled up on the couch with his teddy bear, the warmth of the fire crackling in the background. David and Margaret joined him, wrapping an arm around his shoulders and smiling down at him. "You're home now, Ethan. No more cold nights, no more fear. You belong here, and we'll always be here for you." Margaret added, "This is your new beginning, Ethan. Every day from now on is full of love, laughter, and joy. You're never alone again." Ethan hugged them tightly, tears of happiness streaming down his cheeks. I'm so grateful. I've waited so long for this, and now it's real." He held his teddy bear close and whispered to himself, "Mom, Dad, I think I'm going to be okay. Really okay." That night, Ethan went to sleep wrapped in warmth, both from blankets and the love surrounding him. He thought of the people who had cared for him: Clara, Margaret, David, and of the life he had lost, now replaced with one full of hope and family. For the first time since the accident, Ethan felt complete. Christmas had brought more than gifts or decorations. It had brought miracles, kindness, and the promise of a new life. Outside, snow fell softly, covering the city in white, as if celebrating the joy that had returned to a little boy's heart. Ethan drifted into sleep, dreaming of laughter, family, and a future full of love. The sun rose over New York City, casting golden light across the snowy streets. Ethan Miller woke with excitement bubbling in his chest. Today wasn't just another day, it was the day he truly began to understand what Christmas meant. The previous days had been magical, filled with warmth, love, and the care of David and Margaret Thompson. But Ethan had a sense that today, something deeper awaited him, a lesson in giving, kindness, and the power of love. Ethan rushed to the kitchen, where Margaret was arranging pancakes and hot chocolate on the table. "Good morning, Ethan," she said warmly. "Today we're going to do something very special." "What is it?" Ethan asked, eyes wide. David smiled. "We're going to share Christmas with others, people who need a little hope just like you once did." Ethan paused. He had been the one receiving kindness, gifts, and care. Could he really give it back? His small hands trembled slightly, but his heart felt eager. "Yes," he said softly, "I want to help." Bundled in his warm coat, scarf, and gloves, Ethan followed the Thompsons through the snowy streets. They visited a nearby shelter where children were shivering, some without proper clothing or shoes. Ethan's heart ached at the sight, remembering how cold and alone he had been only a week ago. With Margaret and David's encouragement, Ethan handed out warm scarves, gloves, and small gifts to the children. One little boy, no older than Ethan, stared at a new toy truck with wide eyes. Ethan knelt down. "Here, this is for you," he said, passing it to him. The boy's face lit up with a smile that reminded Ethan of the first moment Clara had helped him. Ethan felt something strange yet wonderful inside him. Joy. Not the kind that came from receiving, but the kind that came from giving. It was a happiness that warmed him even more than the blankets and fire ever could. After helping at the shelter, the Thompsons and Ethan walked through the snow-covered park. Children laughed, sledded down hills, and built snowmen. But Ethan was quiet, lost in thought. He whispered to Margaret, "I never knew Christmas could feel like this. Giving, helping, it feels right." Margaret knelt beside him. "That's the true meaning of Christmas, Ethan. It's not just about gifts or decorations. It's about love, compassion, and making others happy." Ethan thought about his parents, lost to him in a tragic accident. Tears welled up in his eyes. "Mom, Dad, I wish you could see this." David wrapped an arm around him. "They would be proud of you, Ethan. You're carrying their love forward through your actions. That's how their spirit lives on." That evening, they returned home tired but happy. Ethan settled by the Christmas tree, his teddy bear in hand. Margaret brought over a small, wrapped box. Ethan opened it slowly. Inside was a framed picture of him with the Thompsons, smiling in the park, surrounded by children from the shelter. A note read, "To Ethan, who reminds us that love and kindness are the greatest gifts of all, Margaret and David." Ethan hugged the picture tightly, tears streaming down his face. I have a family, and I can help others too," he whispered. Margaret smiled, brushing a strand of hair from his forehead. "Yes, Ethan, that's the true spirit of Christmas. You've learned it, and now you live it." That night, Ethan lay in bed, wrapped in blankets and warmth. The glow of the Christmas tree illuminated his small room. He thought about Clara, the Thompsons, and all the children he had helped today. For the first time since his parents' accident, Ethan felt complete. He had experienced loss, loneliness, and despair, but he had also discovered hope, love, and the power of giving. He whispered softly to his teddy bear, Christmas isn't just about me anymore. It's about everyone. And I will never forget this. Snow fell gently outside, blanketing the city in quiet white. Inside, Ethan's heart was full, his spirit healed, and his soul ready to embrace the love, kindness, and miracles that Christmas could bring. The morning sunlight glimmered through the frost-covered windows of the Thompson home. Ethan Miller awoke with a flutter of excitement in his chest. Christmas wasn't over yet, and today felt even more special than the days before. Margaret was humming softly in the kitchen while David prepared breakfast. The aroma of cinnamon, pancakes, and hot chocolate filled the house. Ethan hopped out of bed, clutching his teddy bear. "Good morning, Ethan," Margaret greeted. "Are you ready for another magical day?" Ethan nodded eagerly. "Yes, what are we going to do today?" David smiled warmly. "Today is about family. We have something very important to tell you." After breakfast, Margaret and David sat Ethan down. Their eyes were filled with warmth and love, and Ethan felt a flutter of nervous excitement. "Ethan," Margaret began gently, "we want you to know something very special. You're officially part of our family. We want you to stay with us forever, not just for Christmas, but always." Ethan's eyes widened. "Really? Forever?" David nodded. "Yes, Ethan, you are our son now. You belong with us, and we promise to love and protect you every single day." Tears welled up in Ethan's eyes. For months, he had been alone, wandering the cold streets, dreaming of a family that might never come. And now, that dream was real. I promise too," he whispered, hugging his teddy bear tightly. "I'll be part of this family forever, and I'll love you too." Margaret and David pulled him into a tight embrace, wrapping him in warmth, love, and security. Ethan felt a weight lift from his heart. The loneliness, fear, and sadness were finally gone. To celebrate, the Thompsons and Ethan spent the day together. They baked cookies, decorated the Christmas tree, and played games by the fire. Laughter filled the home, echoing through the rooms and pushing away any remnants of the past. Ethan realized that family wasn't just about blood. It was about love, care, and being there for one another. And in this moment, he understood that he had finally found all of that. Later, as snow fell softly outside, Ethan whispered to his teddy bear, "Mom, Dad, I finally have a family, and it feels amazing." That evening, Ethan lay in bed, surrounded by warmth, soft blankets, and the love of his new parents. He thought about the journey he had taken, from the cold streets to a home full of love, from loneliness to laughter, from despair to hope. Clara's kindness, the shelter's help, and the Thompsons' love had transformed his life. Ethan realized that miracles could happen, even when life seemed hopeless. He whispered softly to himself, "Thank you for giving me a family. I will never forget this Christmas." The stars outside twinkled like tiny guardians watching over a boy who had suffered loss, but had found love, hope, and belonging. For the first time, Ethan Miller felt truly safe, cherished, and complete. Ethan Miller woke to the soft glow of Christmas morning, sunlight streaming through the windows and glinting off the sparkling decorations. For the first time in his young life, he didn't feel cold, lonely, or scared. He felt safe, loved, and truly at home. He leapt out of bed, clutching his teddy bear, and ran to the living room. The Christmas tree shimmered with lights, ornaments, and carefully wrapped gifts. But the greatest gift wasn't under the tree. It was the love surrounding him. "Good morning, Ethan," Margaret called, smiling warmly. "Are you ready for the best Christmas ever?" Ethan nodded eagerly, his eyes shining. "Yes, I can't wait."
David joined them, carrying a tray of hot cocoa and freshly baked cinnamon rolls. The house was filled with laughter and warmth, the air thick with the scent of Christmas. Ethan tore open his first gift, a new winter coat and matching boots. He held them up with joy, tears prickling his eyes. I finally have clothes that fit. Margaret hugged him tightly. You deserve to be warm, Ethan. No more cold nights on the streets. Next came a box with books, a train set, and a hand-knit scarf from Clara. Each gift reminded Ethan of the journey he had taken, from lonely, scared boy to a child surrounded by love. As he opened each gift, he realized that Christmas wasn't about how many presents you got, but about being together with those who loved you. After breakfast, Ethan bundled up and went outside with David and Margaret. The city was blanketed in fresh snow, sparkling like diamonds. Ethan ran, built snowmen, and laughed freely for the first time in months. "Look at the snowman!" Ethan shouted, proud of his creation. David laughed. "He's perfect, just like you, Ethan." Ethan giggled, feeling joy in his chest that had once seemed impossible. He realized that happiness could return even after deep sorrow. Later that day, they visited Clara, bringing her cookies and thanking her for helping Ethan find his new life. Clara knelt beside him. "You've grown so much, Ethan. I'm so proud of you." Ethan hugged her tightly. "I wouldn't be here without you. Thank you for everything." Back home, Ethan snuggled by the fireplace, his teddy bear in hand. He whispered softly, "Mom, Dad, I have a family now. I'm safe. I'm happy. I'm loved. I'm home." For the first time since the accident, Ethan Miller truly felt the magic of Christmas, not in gifts, but in love, belonging, and hope. The snow fell softly outside, blanketing the city in peace, as inside, a small boy's heart overflowed with joy and gratitude. The city was quiet under a blanket of fresh snow, the soft glow of Christmas lights reflecting off the icy streets. Inside the Thompson home, warmth, laughter, and love filled every corner. Ethan Miller awoke with a heart so full it nearly overflowed. This Christmas felt different, complete, magical, and real. He hugged his teddy bear tightly and ran to the living room. The tree twinkled brightly, gifts stacked neatly beneath it, but Ethan's eyes were drawn to the faces of David and Margaret Thompson. Their smiles radiated love and security, the kind he had never known before. "Good morning, Ethan," Margaret said softly, brushing a strand of hair from his forehead. "Ready to celebrate the best Christmas ever?" Ethan nodded eagerly. "Yes, I'm so happy!" Breakfast was filled with laughter, warm food, and stories. Pancakes drizzled with syrup, hot chocolate steaming in mugs, and the smell of cinnamon rolls created a perfect Christmas morning. But Ethan's heart knew the true gift, love and belonging. David knelt beside him. "Ethan, remember what we promised you? That you're a part of this family forever?" "Yes," he whispered, eyes shining. "And I promise too. I'll love you forever." Margaret hugged him tightly. "Then our promise is fulfilled. You're home, Ethan, always." Tears ran down Ethan's cheeks as he hugged them back. For the first time since the accident, he felt truly safe, truly loved, and truly whole. Later, the Thompsons and Ethan visited Clara to share Christmas joy and gratitude. Ethan presented her with a small gift, a framed picture of the three of them playing in the snow. "I wouldn't be here without you," Ethan said softly. "You helped me find my family." Clara smiled through her tears. "Ethan,
The miracle was always inside you. I just helped you see it." Ethan realized that Christmas miracles weren't just about gifts. They were about love, kindness, and the people who help us believe again. That evening, Ethan curled up by the fire, his teddy bear beside him. The snow fell softly outside, covering the city in a peaceful white blanket. "Merry Christmas, and thank you for giving me a family." For the first time since the accident, Ethan Miller went to sleep knowing he was safe, loved, and never alone. The stars outside twinkled like tiny guardians, watching over a boy whose heart had been broken, but was now filled with hope, love, and the true spirit of Christmas. The morning after Christmas brought another blanket of snow over New York City. Ethan Miller woke to the soft light streaming through the windows, his teddy bear tucked beside him. The snow outside promised new adventures, and his heart was still glowing from the love he had felt over the past week. "Ethan," David called from the kitchen, "come see what's waiting outside." Ethan rushed to the window and gasped. The backyard, dusted in sparkling snow, had been transformed into a winter wonderland. Margaret had arranged a small sledding hill, a snow fort, and even a snowman that looked surprisingly like Ethan himself, complete with a tiny scarf and hat. Ethan's eyes sparkled. "It's amazing!" Bundled in his warm coat and gloves, Ethan ran outside, the snow crunching under his new boots. He climbed the little sledding hill, shrieking with joy as David gave him gentle pushes down the slope. Margaret joined in, laughing as she helped him build the snow fort. Ethan realized that happiness could be simple: a snowy morning, laughter, and the company of people who loved him. The city around them continued its holiday bustle, but in their backyard, time seemed to stand still, filled only with warmth, joy, and love. As the family played, a familiar figure appeared at the edge of the yard. It was Clara Reynolds, carrying a basket of cookies and warm hats for the winter. "Surprise!" Clara called. "I thought every Christmas adventure should have a little extra magic." Ethan ran to her, hugging her tightly. "Clara, you made it!" Clara smiled. "Of course, Ethan. You've brought so much joy to everyone around you. And today, we celebrate that joy together." The afternoon was filled with laughter, snowball fights, and warm cocoa. For Ethan, it was another reminder that kindness and love could create miracles even in the smallest moments. As the evening fell, the family gathered by the fireplace. Ethan, tired but happy, hugged his teddy bear and whispered softly, "Mom, Dad, I never thought Christmas could be this wonderful. I'm so lucky." Margaret smiled and kissed his forehead. "You deserve every bit of it, Ethan. And remember, the magic of Christmas isn't just for today. It's in every day we share together." David nodded. "Love, kindness, and family, that's the real gift, Ethan, and it's yours forever." Wrapped in warmth, love, and the soft glow of the fire, Ethan felt his heart overflow. This Christmas and every day after, he would carry hope, joy, and the magic of family wherever he went. The day after their snowy adventure, the Thompsons decided to take Ethan Miller to the annual New York Winter Festival. The streets were alive with twinkling lights, the smell of roasted chestnuts, and the sounds of carolers singing holiday tunes. Ethan's heart raced with excitement. He had never experienced anything like this before. "Wow, it's incredible," Ethan whispered, his eyes wide as he held Margaret's hand tightly. David smiled. "Wait until you see everything, Ethan. This festival is full of surprises." The family wandered through the festival, stopping at stalls selling handmade ornaments, toys, and delicious holiday treats. Ethan tried candy apples for the first time, his small face lighting up with every bite. Have you ever seen anything so magical? Ethan asked, turning to David and Margaret. Margaret laughed. Christmas magic is everywhere, Ethan. You just have to open your eyes and your heart. They played games, won small prizes, and even rode the carousel together. Ethan's laughter rang out, blending with the joyful sounds of the festival. For the first time in months, he didn't think about sadness or loss. He only thought about the love and happiness surrounding him. As they wandered past the ice skating rink, a group of children invited Ethan to skate with them. David and Margaret helped him strap on the skates. Hesitant at first, Ethan wobbled on the ice, but soon he found his rhythm. "This is amazing!" Ethan shouted, spinning and gliding with a huge smile. "I've never done anything like this before." Nearby, a small girl dropped her mitten. Ethan picked it up and returned it to her. "Here, this is yours." The girl smiled. "Thank you." In that simple act, Ethan realized the joy of giving. He had received so much love and now had the chance to share it with others. As dusk settled, the festival lights grew brighter, casting a golden glow over the city. The Thompsons found a quiet spot on a hill overlooking the ice rink and the sparkling streets below. Ethan leaned against David and Margaret, his heart full. "Mom, Dad, today was perfect. I feel happy, really happy." Margaret kissed his forehead. "That's because happiness comes from love, Ethan, and today you shared that love with others too." David added, "Christmas is more than presents or decorations. It's about caring, giving, and being with the people who matter most. And today, you did that beautifully." Ethan hugged his teddy bear tightly, his eyes glistening. He realized that the magic of Christmas wasn't just in gifts or decorations. It was in love, kindness, and the moments he shared with family and friends. That night, Ethan returned home, tired but glowing with joy. He nestled into his warm bed, thinking about the day, the laughter, the skating, the candy apples, and the twinkling lights. "Mom, Dad, Christmas isn't just one day. It's every moment we shared together, and I'll always remember today." Outside, the snow fell gently, blanketing the city in peace. Inside, a small boy's heart was full of gratitude, love, and the magic of Christmas. Ethan Miller finally understood. Christmas miracles weren't just for one day, they were moments of love, giving, and family that could last forever. The day after the winter festival, Ethan Miller woke with an idea. He had received so much love and care from Clara Reynolds, the kind woman who had first helped him when he was alone on the streets. Now, with a family of his own, he wanted to show her gratitude. "Mom, Dad," Ethan said, tugging on Margaret's sleeve, "I want to give Clara a Christmas gift. She gave me hope. She gave me a family." Margaret smiled warmly. "That's very thoughtful, Ethan. I think she'll love it." David added, "It doesn't have to be big. A gift from the heart is always the most meaningful." Ethan and the Thompsons went to a small holiday market, exploring stalls filled with handmade ornaments, scarves, and small trinkets. Ethan's eyes scanned the rows carefully, searching for something special for Clara. "Maybe she'll like this scarf," Ethan said, holding up a soft red knit scarf. "Perfect," Margaret said. "It's warm and handmade, just like the love Clara gave you." Ethan's heart swelled with gratitude as he imagined Clara wearing the scarf and thinking of him. He carefully wrapped it with a small card. "Dear Clara, thank you for showing me kindness, hope, and love.
You helped me find my family, and I will never forget you. Love, Ethan. That afternoon, Ethan, David, and Margaret walked to Clara's apartment. Ethan's small hand clutched the gift tightly, excitement and nerves bubbling inside him. Clara opened the door, surprised to see them. Ethan, what a wonderful surprise! Ethan handed her the carefully wrapped scarf and card. This is for you, Clara. Thank you for helping me. You helped me find my family. Clara's eyes filled with tears. She gently hugged Ethan. Oh, Ethan, this is the most beautiful gift I could ever receive. Thank you. Ethan felt warmth fill his chest. For the first time, he truly understood that giving from the heart could bring as much happiness as receiving. After sharing hot cocoa and cookies, Clara joined the Thompsons and Ethan in a walk through the neighborhood. Snowflakes fell softly, dusting their coats and hair. Ethan realized that Christmas magic wasn't just in presents or decorations. It was in love, gratitude, and connection. Clara smiled at Ethan. You've grown so much, Ethan. I always knew you'd find a family who loves you. Ethan hugged his teddy bear and whispered softly, I will never forget you, Clara. You're part of my Christmas forever. That night, back at the Thompson home, Ethan placed a small ornament on the Christmas tree, one he had bought especially for Clara. It glimmered in the light, a symbol of kindness, gratitude, and the love that had changed his life. Mom, Dad, and Clara? Thank you. I finally understand what Christmas really means. It's love. It's giving. It's family. Outside, snow fell softly, covering the city in quiet peace. Inside, Ethan's heart was full of gratitude, hope, and joy. Christmas miracles weren't just for one day. They were for every day when love and kindness were shared. The morning after visiting Clara, New York City was blanketed in fresh snow, sparkling under the pale winter sun. Ethan Miller awoke with excitement, pulling on his warm coat, mittens, and scarf. Today, he had a new plan, a snowball adventure with his family. Mom, Dad, look at all the snow, Ethan shouted, dashing to the living room window. Margaret laughed. It's perfect outside, Ethan. Are you ready to play? David grabbed a sled. And maybe get a little friendly competition in? Ethan's eyes sparkled. Yes, let's go! Snowball fun and laughter. Bundled up, the Thompsons and Ethan ran into the snowy backyard. Snowflakes danced around them as they built forts, rolled snowballs, and laughed until their cheeks turned rosy. Ethan carefully crafted his first snowball. Watch out, he shouted, tossing it at David, who pretended to be shocked. David chuckled. Oh no, I'm under attack. Margaret joined in, laughing as she threw a soft snowball at Ethan. Soon, all three were giggling uncontrollably, their snowball fight turning into a full-blown winter adventure. Ethan felt pure joy. For months, he had known nothing but loneliness and fear. Now surrounded by love and laughter, he realized happiness could be playful, simple, and full of warmth. After the snowball fight, Ethan and David worked together to build a snow fort. Margaret added finishing touches, tiny snow towers, and a small snow flag on top. Ethan stepped back, admiring their creation. It's perfect, just like a castle. David ruffled Ethan's hair. And every castle needs a prince. That's you today, Ethan. Ethan grinned, feeling proud and loved. For the first time, he truly felt like a child again, safe, happy, and surrounded by a family who cared. After hours of snow play, the family went inside, dripping snow from their coats and boots. Margaret made hot cocoa with marshmallows, while David brought out warm blankets. Ethan curled up by the fire, his cheeks glowing from laughter and excitement. "Mom, Dad, this has been the best day ever," Ethan whispered, hugging his teddy bear. Margaret kissed his forehead. "It's special because we're together, Ethan. That's what makes it magical." David nodded. "The best part of winter isn't the snow. It's sharing it with the people you love." Ethan smiled, his heart full. Snowball fights, laughter, and family warmth had shown him Christmas magic wasn't just in gifts. It was in moments shared with loved ones. That night, as Ethan lay in bed, he thought about the day. The laughter, the snow fort, and the joy of being part of a family. He whispered softly to his teddy bear, "Mom, Dad, I never want this to end. I'm so happy, and I love you both so much." Outside, snow continued to fall, quiet and gentle. Inside, Ethan's heart overflowed with gratitude, love, and the true spirit of Christmas, a spirit that would stay with him forever.
The following morning, Ethan Miller awoke to the soft glow of sunlight and the distant sound of music drifting through the neighborhood. Snow still covered the streets, glistening like tiny diamonds. Today, Margaret had a special plan. The family was going to spread Christmas cheer as carolers. "Mom, Dad, we're going to sing for people?" Ethan asked, his eyes wide with excitement. Margaret smiled. "Yes, Ethan. We're going to share the magic of Christmas with everyone around us." David added, "Nothing makes the season brighter than music and love." The Thompsons dressed warmly in festive scarves, hats, and mittens. Ethan clutched his teddy bear, carrying it carefully as they stepped out into the crisp winter air. Margaret handed him a small booklet of carols. "Don't worry if you forget the words," she said gently. "Just sing with your heart." Ethan nodded eagerly. He had never done anything like this before, but he felt a warm excitement. Today wasn't about receiving, it was about giving joy to others. The family walked through their neighborhood, stopping at houses to sing carols. Their voices blended beautifully, Margaret's warm soprano, David's rich tenor, and Ethan's sweet, youthful voice. Neighbors peeked through windows, smiling and waving. Some even joined in, clapping along to the songs. Ethan's heart swelled as he realized the power of music and kindness. "This is amazing," Ethan whispered. "Everyone is so happy." Margaret nodded. "And it's all because you shared your heart, Ethan. That's the magic of Christmas." As they finished singing at the last house, a woman approached them with a warm smile. It was Clara Reynolds, carrying a small basket of cookies. "I couldn't miss this," Clara said, handing the basket to Ethan. "You've brought so much joy to others today. I'm proud of you." Ethan hugged her tightly. "Thank you, Clara. I feel so happy helping people." Clara smiled. "That's the true meaning of Christmas, Ethan, sharing love and happiness with others." Back home, Ethan curled up by the fireplace, tired but glowing with joy. He held his teddy bear tightly, thinking about the smiles, laughter, and gratitude he had seen throughout the day. "Mom, Dad, I never knew giving could feel this wonderful," Ethan whispered softly. Margaret kissed his forehead. "When you share love, it comes back to you tenfold, Ethan. That's the real Christmas magic." David nodded. "And today, you helped create miracles for everyone you sang to." Ethan smiled, his heart full. He realized that Christmas wasn't just about gifts or decorations. It was about love, kindness, and the joy of making others happy. That night, as snow continued to fall outside, Ethan whispered to his teddy bear, "Mom, Dad, Clara, thank you for showing me the true magic of Christmas. I will never forget today." Outside, the city glimmered under the snow.
Inside, a small boy's heart overflowed with love, hope, and the joy of giving. Ethan Miller had learned that the most beautiful miracles weren't wrapped in paper, they were found in acts of kindness, family, and love.
The morning after caroling, the Thompson home was filled with the warm aroma of holiday cooking. Ethan Miller awoke excitedly, knowing today was a very special day, the family Christmas feast. "Mom, Dad, I can smell it!" Ethan shouted as he ran to the kitchen. Margaret smiled warmly. "Good morning, Ethan. Today we're preparing a feast for our friends, neighbors, and Clara. You'll help too." David ruffled Ethan's hair. "This is the heart of Christmas, sharing food, love, and laughter with the people around us." Ethan donned a small apron and joined Margaret in the kitchen. Together, they baked golden rolls, roasted vegetables, and a sweet apple pie. Ethan carefully stirred bowls of cookie dough, sneaking a taste or two when no one was looking. "Cooking with you is fun, Ethan," Margaret said, smiling, "and the best part is sharing this with others." David set the table with festive decorations, candles, and colorful napkins. He looked over at Ethan. "Everything looks perfect. I think everyone will feel the love we put into this meal." By afternoon, the doorbell rang. Neighbors, Clara, and a few children from the shelter Ethan had visited came in, greeted with warm hugs and laughter. Ethan's heart swelled as he realized how far he had come, from lonely, hungry, and cold to surrounded by love and family. "Ethan, look at all these people," Clara whispered, smiling proudly. Ethan nodded, eyes shining. "I can't believe all of this is for us, and we get to share it with everyone." The family and guests gathered around the table. Plates were filled, laughter echoed, and stories were shared. Ethan noticed the smiles, the warmth, and the sparkle in everyone's eyes. "This is the best Christmas ever," Ethan said softly, looking at David and Margaret. "I've never felt this happy or full of love." Margaret reached over and held his hand. "You made it this way, Ethan. Your kindness, your joy, and your heart created this Christmas magic." David added, "And remember, Christmas isn't just a day. It's moments like this, full of love and sharing happiness with others." After the feast, Ethan curled up by the fire, full from food and love. He hugged his teddy bear and whispered softly, "Mom, Dad, Clara, and everyone, thank you. I finally understand what Christmas is about. It's not presents, it's love, family, and sharing happiness with others." The snow fell softly outside, blanketing the city in quiet peace. Inside, the Thompson home was warm, filled with laughter, gratitude, and the true spirit of Christmas. Ethan Miller felt complete, happy, and surrounded by the people who loved him. This was more than a meal. It was a celebration of life, love, and the miracles that Christmas could bring. The morning after the Christmas feast, Ethan awoke to find the world outside coated in a sparkling blanket of fresh snow. The city looked magical, as if it had been painted with silver and white. Ethan's eyes lit up. "Mom, Dad, look at the snow!" he shouted, rushing to the window. Margaret smiled. "It's perfect for a snowy adventure, Ethan. Want to make snow angels?" David nodded. "And maybe make a special promise, too?" Ethan tilted his head in curiosity. "A promise?" Bundled in his warmest coat, scarf, and mittens, Ethan ran outside with the Thompsons. The snow crunched beneath his boots, sparkling with every step. Together, they lay on the snow, moving their arms and legs to create perfect snow angels. Ethan giggled. "Mine looks like a real angel." Margaret laughed. "Just like you, Ethan, full of love and light." David added, "And snow angels are special. They remind us that we can leave a mark of love and kindness in the world." Ethan's heart swelled as he realized the deeper meaning behind their playful activity. After creating their angels, David knelt beside Ethan. Ethan, today we're going to make a promise. This is our family promise. Margaret smiled and joined them. We promise to always love, support, and protect each other. No matter what happens, we're together. Ethan nodded, feeling tears prick his eyes. I promise too. I'll always love you both and be part of this family forever. David wrapped an arm around him. That's the most important promise of all. And just like these snow angels, it will last forever in our hearts. Ethan looked at the angels in the snow and realized that each one was a symbol of love, hope, and the magic of family. After the promise, the family walked through the snowy neighborhood hand in hand. They stopped to help neighbors clear their driveways, greeted children building snowmen, and even shared warm cocoa with a few passers-by. Ethan realized that the promise wasn't just words. It was about actions, about spreading love, joy, and kindness wherever he went. Clara appeared nearby, smiling at the family. I see your promise is already in action, Ethan. You've grown so much, and you're sharing that love with everyone around you. Ethan hugged his teddy bear tightly. I want to be like that, Clara, giving love, making people happy, just like you taught me. That night, Ethan returned home, exhausted but glowing with joy. He lay by the fireplace, staring at the snow outside, and whispered softly to his teddy bear, Mom, Dad, Clara, I made my promise. I'll love and help everyone I can. I'll always remember what Christmas really means. Snow continued to fall, blanketing the city in peace. Inside, Ethan's heart overflowed with love, hope, and the magic of family. The snow angel promise had become the symbol of his growth, from a lonely, scared boy to a child filled with purpose, joy, and love. The morning after the snow angel promise, Ethan awoke to a world still sparkling with snow. The city streets glimmered in white, and the holiday lights twinkled even brighter after the day's snowfall. Ethan Miller jumped out of bed, eager for a new adventure with his family. Mom, Dad, can we do something special today? Ethan asked, eyes wide with excitement. Margaret smiled. We can, Ethan. How about we share some Christmas magic with our neighbors? David nodded. Yes, today we'll spread love and joy to everyone around us. The Thompsons and Ethan worked together in the kitchen. They baked cookies, prepared small gift packages, and wrote handwritten notes filled with holiday wishes. Ethan carefully placed the cookies into little boxes, tying each with a bright ribbon. These are for everyone who lives near us, Ethan said proudly. I want them to feel happy too. Margaret ruffled his hair. That's the true spirit of Christmas, giving from your heart. David added, and you'll see how much joy even small acts of kindness can bring. Bundled up in warm coats, scarves, and gloves, the family ventured into the snowy neighborhood. They knocked on doors, handed out cookies and gifts, and read the notes to each neighbor. Thank you! This is wonderful, said Mrs. Hawkins, an elderly neighbor. Your family has made my day, added Mr. Thompson, smiling warmly. Ethan's heart swelled as he saw the smiles, hugs, and laughter. The magic of Christmas wasn't just in gifts, it was in the joy of making others happy. As they continued down the street, a small group of children approached, shivering in the cold. Ethan handed each one a warm scarf and a cookie. Here, these are for you, Ethan said, smiling. The children's faces lit up. Thank you, one of them exclaimed.
David whispered to Ethan, "See? Every act of kindness creates a miracle, no matter how small." Ethan nodded, feeling proud and warm inside. For the first time, he truly understood that Christmas miracles came from love, care, and sharing joy. After finishing their neighborhood surprise, the family returned home tired but glowing with happiness. They sat by the fire, sharing cocoa and recounting the smiles they had witnessed. "Mom, Dad, Clara, today was amazing," Ethan whispered softly, hugging his teddy bear. "I've never felt this happy. I think we made real Christmas miracles today." Margaret kissed his forehead. "Yes, Ethan, you've learned that the magic of Christmas is not in gifts or decorations, but in love, kindness, and the moments we share with others." David nodded. "And the best part? You're now part of creating that magic every day, Ethan." Ethan smiled, his heart overflowing with gratitude, joy, and love. The neighborhood was brighter because of their actions, and his own heart felt lighter, full of the warmth that only family and giving could bring. The city was quiet under a blanket of snow, the streets shimmering with the soft glow of Christmas lights. Inside the Thompson home, warmth and laughter filled every corner. Ethan Miller lay in bed, clutching his teddy bear, reflecting on the past days. "Mom, Dad, Clara, I've never been this happy," he whispered softly. "I feel like I have everything I could ever need." Margaret smiled as she tucked him in. "That's because you do, Ethan. You have love, family, and friends who care about you. That's the real gift of Christmas." David added, "And tonight we'll make one more promise, a Christmas Eve promise, to always protect and love each other, no matter what." Ethan nodded eagerly, his eyes shining with determination. Gathered by the fireplace, the family held hands. The soft glow of the tree lights reflected in their eyes. David spoke first. "Ethan, on this Christmas Eve, we promise to always be there for you, to guide you, and to love you unconditionally." Margaret continued, "And we promise to make every Christmas and every day full of love, warmth, and joy. You are part of our family forever." Ethan's small voice trembled as he replied, "I promise too. I will always love you, and I will always try to make you proud." The room was silent for a moment, filled only with the sound of the crackling fire. Ethan realized that this promise was bigger than words. It was a commitment of the heart, binding them together forever. Ethan climbed into bed, holding his teddy bear close. Outside, the snow continued to fall softly, blanketing the city in quiet peace. Inside, his heart overflowed with love, gratitude, and hope. He thought about the journey that had brought him here, from loneliness and fear to warmth, joy, and family. He remembered Clara's kindness, Margaret and David's love, and the neighborhood's smiles they had shared. This is what Christmas really means," Ethan whispered. "It's not about gifts or decorations. It's about love, family, and keeping promises from the heart." As Ethan drifted to sleep, he imagined a world filled with kindness, joy, and love, just like his family had shown him. The Christmas Eve promise was a beacon of hope, a reminder that even in the darkest times, love could light the way. Clara, Margaret, and David stood quietly by his bedside, smiling at the boy who had endured so much, yet had found happiness and belonging. They knew that this promise would guide Ethan for the rest of his life. For Ethan Miller, Christmas Eve was no longer just a night. It was a symbol of hope, love, and family that would last forever.
The first light of Christmas morning poured through the windows, casting a golden glow across the Thompson living room. Ethan Miller awoke with a smile, clutching his teddy bear tightly. Today wasn't just any day. It was the culmination of love, kindness, and family he had never known before. "Mom, Dad, it's Christmas morning," Ethan shouted, jumping out of bed. Margaret laughed warmly. "Good morning, Ethan. Are you ready for the best Christmas ever?" David nodded, smiling. "Today is about joy, love, and making memories we'll always treasure." Beneath the sparkling Christmas tree were gifts carefully wrapped in bright paper. But for Ethan, the real treasures were the smiles, hugs, and laughter surrounding him. He opened a small box from Margaret and David to find a new set of clothes, shoes, and a handwritten note. "Ethan, you are our miracle. You bring joy, love, and magic into our lives every day. Merry Christmas." Tears welled up in Ethan's eyes. Thank you so much." Clara, who had joined them for the morning, handed him a small ornament she had made for him. "Every Christmas, this will remind you of love, kindness, and hope." Ethan hugged her tightly. "I'll treasure it forever." The morning was filled with laughter, delicious breakfast, and playful snowball fights in the backyard. Ethan felt completely safe, loved, and joyful. He realized that Christmas miracles weren't just about presents. They were about family, giving, and shared happiness. "Mom, Dad, Clara, I've never been this happy in my whole life," Ethan whispered, hugging his teddy bear. Margaret smiled. "That's because love is the greatest gift, Ethan, and you are part of our family now, forever." David added, "No matter what challenges come, we'll always face them together. That's the true spirit of Christmas." As the sun rose higher, the family gathered by the fireplace. Ethan looked at their faces, the warmth, love, and joy shining in their eyes, and felt a deep sense of gratitude. He whispered softly, as if speaking to the entire world, "Merry Christmas, and thank you for giving me a family." For the first time since the accident that had changed his life, Ethan Miller went to sleep knowing he was safe, loved, and never alone. Outside, the city shimmered with snow, lights, and quiet peace. Inside, a small boy's heart overflowed with love, hope, and the magic of Christmas. A magic that would stay with him forever.
The day after Christmas felt calm, almost magical, as if the whole world was wrapped in a soft blanket of peace. Ethan woke up late, stretching with a lazy smile. The house was quiet except for the gentle hum of the heater and the faint smell of hot chocolate drifting from the kitchen. He slipped out of bed, hugged his teddy bear, and tiptoed down the hallway. Margaret was standing by the stove making breakfast, her hair tied in a loose bun, and her smile warm as always. "Good morning, sweetheart," she said softly. "Sleep well?" Ethan nodded. "Yeah, the best sleep ever." David entered a moment later, rubbing his eyes. "Looks like someone had a long night of dreaming." Ethan giggled. "I dreamed we were all building a snow fort together." David laughed. "Maybe we'll do that today." They sat together for breakfast, enjoying pancakes and warm cocoa. Everything felt peaceful. No rush, no worries, just the comfort of a family finding its rhythm. After breakfast, Ethan went outside to play in the snow. He didn't need new toys today. The snow itself felt magical. He shaped little snowmen, threw soft snowballs in the air, and pretended he was building a tiny snow village. Clara arrived later, bundled in a thick red scarf. She waved from the gate. "Ethan, look what I brought." She held a small wooden sled painted blue with silver stars. Ethan gasped.
Is that for me? Clara nodded. I found it at a charity sale yesterday. Thought you might like it. He hugged her tightly. Thank you! They headed to the small hill near the neighborhood park. David pulled the sled, while Margaret walked beside them, her arm around Clara. The sky was bright, the snow sparkling like diamonds. Ready? David asked. Ethan climbed on the sled, gripping the handles, his excitement bubbling. David gave a gentle push, and Ethan slid down the hill, the cold air brushing his cheeks, his laughter ringing out through the quiet morning. When he reached the bottom, he looked up at the hill, waving, "Again! Again!" And they did, over and over. The hill echoed with laughter, Ethan's laughter, the kind that once felt lost forever. Later, as they walked home, Ethan held Margaret's hand tightly. "Mom," he said softly. "Yes, honey? Do you think my real mom and dad can see me from heaven?" Margaret squeezed his hand. "I think they see every smile you make, and I think they're proud of how brave you are." Ethan's eyes glistened, but he didn't cry. Instead, he smiled, a warm, quiet smile filled with love. Back at home, they sat by the fireplace again. David read a story aloud, while Clara helped Ethan arrange his new gifts on a shelf. The soft glow of the Christmas lights danced across the room. As evening came, Ethan curled up on the couch, resting his head on Margaret's shoulder while she gently stroked his hair. The simple warmth of the moment settled deep into his heart. He didn't need anything fancy. He didn't need more presents. He had something bigger, something he thought he'd never have again. A place to belong, a home, a family. And as he drifted into sleep once more, the soft whisper of falling snow outside the window felt like a promise that the days ahead would be filled with hope, love, and the kind of peace he had longed for all his life.
The next morning brought a soft gray sky and a gentle snowfall that floated quietly over the neighborhood. Ethan woke up feeling warm and peaceful, wrapped in his blanket like a cocoon. As he rubbed his eyes, he heard faint laughter coming from the kitchen. He followed the sound and found Clara and Margaret decorating freshly baked cookies. Snowflakes, trees, stars, each one carefully shaped and frosted. David sat at the table, sipping coffee and smiling at the sight. "Good morning, Ethan," Clara said cheerfully. "Want to help us?" Ethan nodded eagerly and sat beside her. Margaret slid a tray toward him. "You can decorate these. Make them as colorful as you want." Ethan picked up the piping bag with care and started making little faces and patterns. His hands were small, but his smiles were big. Clara leaned in and whispered, "You're really good at this." Ethan grinned. "I'm trying my best." After decorating cookies, they decided to walk into town. The streets were glowing with Christmas decorations still up. Twinkling lights, wreaths, red ribbons, and store windows filled with winter displays. People passed by bundled in coats and scarves, carrying shopping bags or warm drinks. Ethan held Margaret's hand tightly. Everything felt different now. The world didn't look empty anymore. It felt full of color, sound, and warmth. They reached the town square where a small community gathering was happening. A choir was singing Christmas songs, and families stood around listening. Children were playing, building snowmen, or chasing each other with scarves fluttering in the wind. Clara bent down to Ethan. "Want to look around? Maybe play a little?" He hesitated for a moment. "Will you stay close?" "Always," she promised. Ethan joined a group of kids making a giant snowman. One of them, a boy his age, smiled and said, "Want to help?" Ethan nodded, and together they rolled a huge ball of snow. For the first time in a long time, Ethan felt like just another kid. Not the boy who had lost his parents, not the boy who had cried himself to sleep. Just Ethan. Margaret and David watched from a short distance, smiling softly. "Look at him," Margaret whispered. "He's finally opening up." David put an arm around her shoulders. He's healing. Slowly, but he's healing. When the snowman was finished, the kids cheered. Ethan laughed, a bright, genuine laugh that warmed the cold air. He ran back to Margaret and hugged her waist tightly. "I made a friend," he said proudly. Margaret kissed the top of his head. "I'm so happy, sweetheart." As the sky dimmed and soft evening lights began to glow, they walked back home. The world felt quiet and peaceful again. Ethan clutched Clara's hand, swinging it lightly as he walked. At home, after dinner, the family settled near the fireplace. Clara braided a small section of Ethan's hair playfully while he giggled. David tuned the radio to soft Christmas music, even though the holiday had passed. It didn't matter. Every day felt like Christmas now. Ethan curled up on the couch with his blanket and teddy bear. Margaret sat beside him, gently rubbing his back. "Did you have a good day, love?" she asked. Ethan nodded slowly, his eyelids heavy. "The best day," he whispered. And just before sleep pulled him in, he murmured softly, "Thank you for giving me a life that feels warm again." Margaret's eyes filled with quiet tears, but they were tears of love, not sorrow. "Sleep, sweetheart. We're here, always." The snow continued to fall outside, soft and silent, as Ethan drifted into dreams filled with laughter, friendship, and the steady warmth of a family that would forever hold him close.
The morning arrived with a pale winter sun cutting through the clouds, casting soft light across the Thompson home. Ethan woke up earlier than usual, feeling a strange flutter of excitement he couldn't quite explain. He climbed out of bed, grabbed his teddy bear, and made his way to the living room. David was already up, reading the newspaper with a mug of coffee in his hand. He looked up and smiled. "Good morning, champ. You're up early?" Ethan shrugged shyly. "I just felt awake." David patted the seat next to him. Ethan climbed up, leaning gently against his side. For a moment, there was only peaceful silence between them, the kind of silence that felt safe. Margaret soon joined them, wrapped in her soft robe. "Breakfast time, you two," she said cheerfully. They ate together, warm oatmeal with cinnamon and a little honey. Ethan loved it, mostly because of the way Margaret stirred it with so much care. Clara arrived shortly after, her cheeks rosy from the cold outside. "Guess what?" she said, taking off her gloves. "They're setting up an ice skating rink at the park today." Ethan's eyes widened. "Ice skating? I've never tried it before." Clara smiled. "Then today is the perfect day to learn." Ethan's stomach fluttered with nervous excitement. Trying something new always scared him a little, but with the Thompsons and Clara, everything felt possible. A few hours later, they arrived at the park. The ice rink sparkled under the winter sun, and families were gliding across the ice, laughing, slipping, and spinning. The crisp air carried hints of hot chocolate from a nearby stand. David helped Ethan put on ice skates, tightening the laces carefully. "You'll wobble at first, but we'll be right here." Ethan stood up slowly. His legs felt shaky, and he clung tightly to David's hands. Clara skated backwards smoothly, smiling at him. "I'll guide you, okay? Just look at me." Ethan took his first step onto the ice. His foot slid, and he gasped, but Clara held his hands, steadying him. "You're doing great," she whispered. Bit by bit, he found his balance. Margaret stood by the side, clapping softly each time he made a small glide forward. David stayed behind him, ready to catch him if he fell. Slowly, Ethan began to relax. His strides became steadier. His fear melted into excitement. "I'm doing it," he laughed. "I'm actually doing it." Clara beamed. "I knew you could." They skated for nearly an hour. Ethan fell a few times, but each time someone helped him up, and each time he laughed instead of crying. When they finally took a break,
Ethan sat on a bench, cheeks flushed, breath visible in the cold air. Margaret handed him a warm cup of cocoa. "How do you feel, sweetheart?" Ethan took a sip and smiled softly. Happy, really happy. Later, as they walked home, the snow began to fall again, light, quiet flakes drifting through the air. Ethan held Clara's hand and looked up at the sky. "Do you think snow feels lonely when it falls?" he asked suddenly. Clara shook her head. "No. I think it's like tiny pieces of hope falling from the sky, little reminders that even the coldest days can be beautiful." Ethan lowered his head, thinking, "I like that." Back home, David made a small dinner. They sat around the table, sharing stories about their day. Ethan listened more than he spoke, soaking in every moment, every smile, every bit of warmth. That night, he curled up in bed with his teddy bear. The room felt peaceful, the air soft, the blankets warm around him. Before closing his eyes, he whispered a quiet truth he hadn't dared to say out loud before. "This feels like the life I never thought I'd have." And with that, he drifted into sleep, comforted by the steady heartbeat of a home that was no longer borrowed or temporary, but his.
The day began with a calm stillness. Snow covered the rooftops like a soft white blanket, and the neighborhood looked peaceful beneath the pale winter sky. Ethan woke slowly, stretching under his warm covers. Today felt different, quiet, but gentle, like the world was waiting for something beautiful to happen. He got dressed and padded into the kitchen, where Clara was pouring herself a cup of tea. She turned and smiled warmly. "Good morning, Ethan. You hungry?" He nodded. A little. Margaret entered moments later with a plate of warm toast and scrambled eggs. "Sleep well, sweetheart?" "Yes," I replied, climbing into his seat. "I had a dream that we were all building a giant snow maze." Clara laughed softly. "Maybe we should try that someday." After breakfast, David bundled up and stepped inside from the chilly garage. "Anyone up for a little adventure?" he asked, brushing snow off his coat. Ethan's eyes lit up. "What kind of adventure?" David held up a small wooden box. "I found this when I was rearranging some things. Inside are old puzzles and games. Thought we could spend the day together, warm and cozy." Ethan followed him to the living room, where they spread the games across the carpet. Margaret lit the fireplace, and the warm glow filled the room. Snowflakes drifted past the window, each one catching the light as if dancing in the air. They played a puzzle first, an image of a snowy cabin surrounded by pine trees. Ethan worked carefully, fitting each piece with concentration. David sat beside him, helping when needed, while Clara and Margaret watched with soft smiles. "You're really good at this," Margaret said. Ethan shrugged shyly. "I like puzzles. They feel calm." Hours passed gently. They played card games, laughed at silly jokes, and told stories from their childhoods. Ethan listened closely, absorbing every detail, every laugh. He wasn't just playing, he was learning them, their pasts, their hearts. He wanted to belong to these memories too. At lunch, they made sandwiches together. Clara taught Ethan how to slice tomatoes safely, guiding his hands with care. He concentrated hard, wanting to make them proud. Later, as the afternoon light turned golden, David suggested they step outside to get some fresh air. The snow was thick and soft, perfect for building. Ethan knelt down in the yard and began shaping a small snow sculpture. Not a snowman, something different. Clara crouched beside him. "What are you making?" Ethan smoothed the snow gently with his mittened hands. "A snow angel. Not the kind you lie down to make. A real one." Clara tilted her head. "Why an angel?" He paused. "Because I think my mom and dad were angels to me. And I want them to know I'm okay now." Clara's eyes softened. She helped him carve wings into the snow figure. Margaret watched from the porch, her heart swelling with emotion. David came over quietly, placing a hand on Ethan's shoulder. "It's beautiful,"
he said softly. When the snow angel was finished, Ethan stepped back and looked at it. The sculpture wasn't perfect, but it was sincere, made with love and longing. He whispered to it, "I hope you can see me. I'm safe now." Clara slipped her arm around his shoulders. "They see you, Ethan. I know they do." As the evening settled in, they went inside and warmed up with hot soup. The house felt peaceful, wrapped in the soft glow of lamps and the crackling fire. Ethan sat close to Margaret on the couch, resting his head on her arm. She stroked his hair gently, the way only a mother would. David turned on soft music, and Clara curled up in an armchair with a blanket. The family sat together without speaking, enjoying the quiet comfort that filled the room. Ethan felt warm, whole, safe. Before bed, he stopped by the window and looked out at the snow angel he had made. The moonlight illuminated it gently, as if blessing it. He whispered to it, "Good night." Then he climbed into bed, hugged his teddy bear, and let sleep pull him gently under, feeling the steady heartbeat of love all around him.
The first light of dawn crept softly through the frost-covered windows, casting a pale golden glow across the Carter household. Snow had continued falling through the night, wrapping the entire town in a quiet white embrace. Inside the warm living room, the Christmas tree shimmered with soft lights, ornaments gently swaying as the heater hummed in the background. James woke up slowly, blinking against the warm light. For a moment, he forgot where he was. Then he felt it, the soft blanket tucked around him, the faint smell of pine, the distant sound of someone humming in the kitchen. His heart tightened. This wasn't the shelter. This wasn't the cold bench in the station. This was home. He sat up just as the kitchen door opened and Emily stepped out, holding 2 mugs of hot cocoa. Her blonde hair was messy, tied in a loose bun, and her pajama sleeves were too long, covering half her hands. When she saw him awake, her face brightened instantly. "You're up," she whispered, as if afraid to break the peaceful morning. "Merry Christmas, James." He swallowed the lump in his throat. "Merry Christmas." She walked over and placed the warm mug in his hands. Dad's outside bringing firewood, Mom's making cinnamon rolls, and Liam's trying his best not to open the presents before everyone gets here. James smiled. He liked how she said everyone, like he was included, like he belonged. Before he could respond, the front door opened and Mark stepped inside, shaking snow from his jacket. "Well, look who's awake," he said with a grin. "Perfect timing. We're starting as soon as Mom's ready." James felt warmth spread through him, a feeling he hadn't known in so long. Safety, belonging, peace. A few minutes later, the whole family gathered around the tree. Sarah handed out presents, her eyes bright and joyful. Liam sat on the floor, bouncing with excitement. Emily curled beside the couch, sipping her cocoa. Sarah handed James a small box wrapped in red paper. "This is for you." James stared at it, stunned. "For me?" "Of course," Mark said. "You're part of the family today." With shaking hands, he unwrapped the gift. Inside was a navy blue winter jacket, thick, warm, and new, a jacket that could carry him through storms, snow, anything. His eyes blurred instantly. I don't know what to say," he whispered. Sarah leaned forward and hugged him gently. "You don't have to say anything. Just know you're safe." James held the jacket close to his chest, the warmth from the fabric sinking into him, into places that had been cold for so long. Liam crawled over and sat beside him. "Do you like it?" James nodded. "I love it." "Good," Liam said proudly. "We picked it together." Emily smiled softly at the scene, her eyes shining. She knew what this meant to James. This wasn't just a jacket. It was the first gift he had received in years, maybe ever. As the morning went on, laughter echoed around the room. Wrapping paper piled on the floor, cinnamon rolls disappeared fast. Snowflakes drifted past the windows like tiny blessings.
At one point, James slipped outside onto the porch. He pulled on his new jacket, zipped it up, and stepped into the crisp winter air. Snow crunched under his boots. His breath rose in small clouds. The world was quiet, peaceful, alive. He looked up at the sky and let out a long, shaky breath. He wasn't alone. Not anymore. Footsteps sounded behind him. Emily stepped out, wrapping her arms around herself. "You okay?" James nodded, eyes still on the snowy yard. "Yeah, just taking it all in." She stepped closer. "You know, you can stay with us as long as you want. Mom and Dad talked about it. You don't have to go anywhere." His heart froze, then melted instantly. You really mean that?" She nodded, her breath fog in the cold. "We do. You don't have to be homeless again. You're one of us now." James felt tears spill down his cheeks before he could stop them. Not sad tears. Relief, hope, gratitude, all tangled together. Emily touched his arm gently. "Come on, it's Christmas, and you're finally home." James looked at her, then at the glowing windows behind her. The warm lights, the laughter spilling out, the family waiting inside. And for the first time in years, he didn't feel like he was standing outside looking in. He stepped forward, back into the warmth, back into family, back into home.